Okie dokie. So now briefly I want to talk about the Perspectives Inspector. Okay, so it controls your backgrounds, foregrounds, clipping boxes, locations, and what you can see. All right, so we've got this view here, which is our architectural camera. Okay, and it makes the view look parallel. So basically, it's like your perspective view in SketchUp. You click on that and it slightly moves your model, okay, depending on where you are. And then we can change like how far in we want that to be, what's the focal point in millimeters, and then the roll as well. Then if we come over to here, we've got our lighting box. Okay, so the first one is our sun, which is our heliodons. So we're telling it we want it to use the SketchUp sun, which is correct. Then we've got our light bulb, which is our artificial light groups. So once we start heading into lights, which we'll do in 2 weeks' time, we will make sure that we have light groups selected. For the moment, we have nothing on because we haven't created any artificial light. And then underneath is our paint, or our paint roller, which applies to our shaders. Okay, and if we have that, there's no other options available at the moment. But if you apply a light emitting shader, which we will talk about, okay, you can turn that on there. So this is basically where we turn on our different light sources. Then here in our environment, we have our background and foreground options. So you can choose heliodon, sky, gradient, or an image. So there are different things that you can do. If we click on this button here and click ground, okay, you can have infinite ground. You can choose your shader that you want to put onto the ground. So at the moment we've got just a green shader. We could probably change to grass if we wanted to, and you can see that it puts grass in. So I just navigated through to my natural shaders, and then here we are lawn, and I dragged it onto my layer here. Right, so we can see that there's ground. I've just headed back to my perspectives. So you can do that if you want. We can click on the sky, and you can add images as well if you want to, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay. Then we've got this part here of visibility. So this talks about your clipping box, okay, which we don't need to use. So we can click show, and it shows us what part of our model we can see. All right. And we don't need that on, so I'm going to turn that off. Then we've got our visible layers. So at the moment we want our SketchUp layers to be visible. Okay. Then up here we've got a laser, which we don't need to worry about. And then we've got our location input. So if we click on there, we can tell it the altitude reference that we want, position, and that kind of thing. So coordinates in terms of where we want it to be in the world if you want to do that. Okay, and then these three guys over here, these are your rendering filter settings. Okay, so we don't need these right now, but as we get closer to the end processes and we want to start setting up our image in our preview display ready for what we can see on the screen, okay, we will have a look at our rendering parameters, post-processing parameters, and our tone settings. We'll set those up to give us the optimum view of our model for our render. Okay guys, so that is an introduction to your perspectives.